Hello, here's a quick overview of the PianoDisc PDS128 Plus with this awesome floppy disk emulator. Typically the PianoDisc PDS128 Plus has a floppy drive right here, but this one wasn't working. So instead we ordered from this company from Bulgaria, Nalbantov, and he makes this awesome USB drive. So basically instead of popping in floppies right here, one after another and swapping them back and forth. Instead, we can load up to 1,000 floppies, virtual floppies, you know, these properly formatted things, onto this little guy, this itty bitty tiny USB guy. So I'm going to just pop that in there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and turn this on. And this model comes with a little screen here. So it's you can kind of see what's going on. It's not great, but it's doable given the small amount of surface area to work here. So it takes a second to turn on. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and switch from CD mode, which is how we get audio in through our Bluetooth receiver here, so we can shoot in some audio that makes the piano keys go up and down. Instead, we're going to switch from CD mode to disc mode. And I'm going to go ahead and say OK. So it takes a second. And now this knob right here, you can see the green light's on. It's now kind of connected to the main control unit there. And I'm going to go ahead and choose, let's go and listen to some Albanese right here. He's handy. I'm going to go ahead and click this in order to load up the floppy. It takes a second. So part of it is that you know, it previously would have popped in the thing. Do this. So right now we've got the track name right there, and I'm going to go ahead and hit play. Once again, it takes a second, but it's going to go ahead and this is lovely. Now, you can control the volume right here. So it gets pretty loud if you want it to. This is a pretty good volume right here. And as you can hear, it gets louder and softer. Some nice nuance. It's not super mechanical. It sounds like somebody played to order to get this to work. There is some metadata that will kind of scroll through, so you might get some weird stuff popping up there for the person who originally created this MIDI file. So everything on here is going to be the MIDI files. They're itty bitty files. I can fit a ton of music into each virtual floppy. So I do all the hard work to get this formatted correctly. And then we can go through and scroll through and pick different stuff. So we've got some here, some different Bach ones in here, a bunch of different Bach albums in here. I got some Bartok, a bunch of Beethoven. Now you can't really tell because it's all kind of taken over the whole screen. Bellini, it's that. We got some Brahms. So I've got a bunch of stuff in here. Some different Chopin pieces. A bunch of, oh god, so much Clementi. What wasn't Clementi? I think we got some other ones. Coates. So we've got a fair amount of music in here. I will also show you, so we got some Dvorak, Gershwin, Gregg. Okay, but as we go through, we're going to hit, I'm working on not just classical music, but as part of this, rolls. So in here, these are PianoDisc, these are original player rolls from back in the day. So I'm going to go ahead and play some. Going to see what this sounds like. Well, we'll give it a second to load up. And we have a bunch of these old, 1910s, 1920s rags and ballads and stuff like that. So let's kind of see what it sounds like. little bit to play all the notes. I downloaded a ton of these from a gentleman named Terry Smith who collects these. It's like 4,000 of these piano roll tracks or something insane. I'm currently working my way through. There's a lot of duplicates in there, you know, and there's also some piano song tracks that have not aged well in time, to say the least. So I'm deleting and clearing things up. So I can't promise the quality of each and every file in here. It's a massive amount of music that I'm trying to put on here and trying to organize and convert and equalize stuff. So I'm kind of dealing with things in bulk operations. That being said, we've got in here 19 rolls just for section A. So there's a ton of music in here, and each one of these virtual floppies. Let's just go back to virtual floppy number 1 here. It's going to hold many hours of music, many hours of music. Each one of these floppies, probably between, I mean, some of them only have an hour or two in here, but some of them are going to be 3 or 4 or 5 hours, my guess. But we can go through and you can kind of click through and depending on the size of the file, but yeah, this is a lot of, you know, 2 and 3 and 4 minute pieces as part of these piano rolls. So this one, it looks like I've got 27 pieces, but it looks like you can kind of scroll backwards and forwards from one to the back of it to get to the track that you want. But yeah, and this one has 27 songs on this one, just on this particular one, and then you can kind of scroll over to, I apologize, I should have done 02 and 03 and 04, but anywho, that's part of the cleanup process. So luckily what I can do is I can do a lot of the proper formatting and organizing on my computer and then just copy and paste onto here, and it takes 2 minutes to load this little guy up with thousands of these MIDI files properly formatted. I have to load up a floppy emulator and get everything to the right size and create virtual floppies and whatnot. So I can't create a real sophisticated folder structure in here, but it works pretty well. And then we've got a whole bunch of rolls, and then Scarlatti. Oh yeah, tons of Scarlatti, that's what it was. So as you can see, it's going to scroll, and then this is going to be Sonatina's 1, and there's like 20 of these. I can fit 50 albums each, so 50 of these songs each on this. So tons of Scarlatti for what it's worth. But yeah, it's really nice. You don't have to connect this to anything. You can just turn on the piano. It doesn't have to connect via Bluetooth. It doesn't have to do anything with the outside world. You can just scroll through, pick the floppy that you want to load up, click this, or actually just give it a second. The controller here is going to try connecting to whatever floppy you've got hooked up. So for example, if I go over to, let's go back to Sans, it's going to take a second, and then it's going to go ahead and load up that particular floppy. So, you know, in an ideal world, this control box would be way faster, but overall it works pretty well. So let's go ahead and play a little bit. And, you know, some of the names are more descriptive than others. Sometimes the metadata are better. Okay, so a little modern sounding, but now please note the MIDI files that are in here have to be kind of one-track MIDI files for this computer to understand it. technical term is SMF0 format MIDI files for our lovely control panel here. Basically means it can handle one track. It cannot handle a bunch of violins and guitars and strings and drums and everything else. So everything that's going to be in here is only going to play the piano. It's not going to make the speaker system run or do any sounds or anything else. All of these MIDI files are kind of like digital piano rolls, so it's going to determine which key to play when and how. It's not going to give you sound waves, and that's part of the way that the files are so darn tiny, and how you can fit so much music onto this little drive here. But yeah, this is everything here. You don't have to do anything with the Bluetooth receiver. You don't have to plug anything else in. It just kind of works like this, which is actually really, really user intuitive. I was worried that it was not going to be user intuitive. This is going to be a Frankenstein system of some sort, but this gentleman here knows how to make a nice product. I'm very impressed. So that is the Nalbantov Floppy disk emulator. This is their top-of-the-line model as of 2021, early 2021, that will handle 1,000 virtual floppies on here, and it has the screen. So it's a lovely product, and if you Google this, you can find more information on it. I actually got it from Bulgaria in about 3 days they ship via DHS Express, and I was very impressed. Nice documentation. It comes with a thumb drive that has all the proper formatting and everything. It's a little bit bigger. It sticks out. I don't like it as much, so I got my own little tiny thumb drive. The documentation's okay. But there definitely there's a learning curve to getting all the formatting right and to do everything for it. So that might be a separate video that I do about it. You can load as many, functionally speaking, as many MIDI files as you want on here, but they all have to be the exact same format. So I just have everything. Actually, we'll take for the geekier among you, I will show you a little bit of my computer, and if you don't have to continue watching, but if you want to, this is going to be a quick showcase of how to use this little guy here. So I'm going to go on my computer. I apologize that it is when you load up the Nalbantov. This is the original disk. This is what it's going to look like. It's going to have a disk browser and then a bunch of pseudo disks. And disk 001 actually has some files that you can play right off the bat without plugging this into your computer. So you can do that. The disk browser, you can do some kind of cool stuff here. Personally, I like pulling up the Floppy Emulator, and you can do a bunch of things here. I do the disk browser, and this allows me to choose any format, but this is the correct one right here. And then you can go ahead and create disk to format it. And it'll show you've got 713 kilobytes. So what I've done is I've already created some type 0 MIDI files. So it's kind of one roll. And just for kicks and giggles, I will go ahead and drag one in here. And as you notice, it's a tiny file. It's 22 kilobytes. So what you can do is kind of drag over some of these. And pop it in. Boom, it copies over pretty quick. Sometimes if you drag 1,000,000 of these over, it'll get the order all mixed up. So 5 to 10 is usually pretty good. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and hit save export. I have a super disk I'm working on with all of this great stuff I was just showing you. So what I do is I hit save and it pops it in here. And then I go ahead and just create disk, and it clears it out, and I'm creating a new disk to save. So you basically save these virtual floppies into onto your drive. Now what I can do is just for simplicity's sake, I have this is on my computer, and then what I can do is I can just copy and paste all of this into my little guy here. So I can just nuke this and then just copy over it and put everything on there. So this is all public domain stuff. You can hunt down a lot of MIDI files online. if you want, you can talk to me, and maybe I can send you one of these if you want. Once again, my name's Brendan. I'm with Family Piano Co. in Waukegan and in Niles. My email is brendan@familypiano.com. So I hope this is helpful for anyone considering the Nalbantov floppy disk. Thanks.